Mr. V.P. Singh, Badnore.
Sir, I stand to speak and support the Finance Bill 2015-16. This August House is well aware of the importance that is rightly due and given to the presentation of the budget. There are actually three phases of the national budget. After the presentation of the budget in the third week of February in the Parliament, that is the first stage, the general budget is discussed in both the houses, and that is along with that is the railway budget. And in the second stage, the demands of grants of all the ministries are discussed in the standing committee, and we have a recess, and all the reports, the details are presented to both the houses. And finally, and we are finally at the third stage, and that is the finance bill along with the appropriation bills. I therefore would be concentrating on mostly the financials of the budget. So the budget 2015-16 has been presented at a very opportune time. India is on the threshold of an economic flight, and it seems that the finance minister has visualized it, and very rightly, and put all the ingredients in this budget to trigger the economic boom and prosperity of the country. Let me quote Jim Walker, the former chief economist of the CLSA and the founder of Asianomics. CLSA is one of the biggest investment and brokerage companies in Asia. He is as bullish on India as he was 18 months ago. In an interview with Nishant Vasudevan, Hong Kong-based Walker, who was among the first strategists to issue a buy call on India, said the downturn has ended, but the business cycle upswing is still in the early stages or infancy. He further elaborates all the anecdotal evidence and most alternate macro data point to the fact that the downturn has ended, but the business cycle upswing is still in its early stages. That looks normal to us. It is interesting to note when he says, and I quote, "The inflation surge has been controlled, that made us optimistic. However, we also emphasized at the time that our bullish call in India was not premised on the outcome of the election. Yes, we expected Modi to preside over a more efficient and competent government, but our argument was based on the natural business cycle, macroeconomic fundamentals, and those elements make us believe that the Invest in India story is a 5 to 10 year event, not a 1-year politically induced rally. We are positive on India stocks today as we were 18 months ago," and this is what he said. He also pointed out that it is important to say that China is becoming a moderate growth economy because of the mistakes it made between 2009 and 2013. In his view, China is growing at around 3 to 5% at the moment, and that the production sectors of the economy led by property and heavy industries are in recession. The main thing to note, though, is that the era of resource-intensive growth in China is over. It is basic knowledge, sir, that the cheap labor factor that was in their favor is not as favorable as it was few years ago. Let me now come to the nitty-gritties of the budget proposal 2015-16. Here I must commend the Finance Minister and the Honorable Prime Minister who have taken pains to see that this budget is a game changer. There is something for everybody to take advantage of, especially the disadvantaged and the downtrodden. And there is no just lip service, but there is real inclusion that can be seen. This budget lays down the path for development and vision for future to even compete in the international markets. Sir, I will very hurriedly go through the key features of the budget 2015. Sir, there are three key achievements. The financial inclusion, 12.5 crore families financially mainstreamed in 100 days. Then there's the coal block auction to augment resources of the states as well. Game-changing reforms on the anvil like the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile jam for direct benefit, and this is another inclusion that we can talk of. So the state of the economy is another very important thing that has been mentioned, and the inflation declined, a structural shift. CPI inflation, not our CPI, CPI inflation projected at 5% by the end of the year, consequently easing of monetary policy. And the major challenges that we have today is maintaining fiscal deficit of 4.1% of the GDP met in 2014, despite lower nominal GDP growth due to lower inflation and consequent subdued tax buoyancy. So the fiscal roadmap is another thing that I would like to put forward. And the government is firm to achieve the fiscal target of 3% of GDP in the coming years. Funding the unfunded. And this is a very flagship sort of a scheme that we have put forth. The Mundra Bank will be responsible for financing all microfinance institutions which are in the business of lending to such small entities of business, though through a Pradhan Mantri Mundra Yojana. So the trade receivables discounting system, TREDS, will be an electronic platform for facilitating financing of trade receivables of MSMEs to be established. Comprehensive bankruptcy code of global standards, which was being put forward, to be brought in fiscal 2015 and 16 towards ease of doing business through the Payment and Settlement Securities Amendment Bill 2015. The Jan Dhan to Jan Suraksha is another scheme which I would like to put forth here. Government to work towards creating a functional security system for all Indians, especially the poor and the underprivileged. The Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana to cover accidental death risk of 2 lakhs for a premium of just 12 rupees, 1 rupee a month. Nobody in the world has ever thought of something like that. And the World Bank, the UNO, they are also praising this great scheme that we have been put forward in this bill. The Atal Pension Yojana to provide a defined pension depending on the contribution and the period of contribution. Government to contribute 50% of the beneficiaries. So we always thought that the pension was only for the privileged, for the people who had white-collar jobs, not to anybody. Here is a scheme, and I think it will be taken with lot, and I must commend the finance minister and the prime minister. Sir, आपका मौका है खूब बोलना, मुझे क्यों डिस्टर्ब कर रहे? No, I don't answer anybody because it is the minister who has to answer. So you, no, not me. You speak, and then the minister will ask.
Why are you spoiling his flow? Why are you spoiling his flow?
Sir, unclaimed deposit of about rupees.
This is your protection, sir.
Rupees 3,000
No
crores
interruption.
in the
Mr.
PPF.
Selam is not
and
yielding.
approximately.
Mr. Selam is not yielding, please.
Approximately
yielding, please
rupees
sit
6,000 crores
So okay,
in
but
the
he is not
EPF
yielding.
corpus.
He is not yielding.
The
Please
amounts,
proceed.
you are always correct, I don't know, but
You please,
this
please
time
address the chair.
let the minister answer you, not me.
Badoji,
The amounts to be appropriated to a corpus which will be used to subsidize the premiums on these social security schemes through creation of senior citizens welfare fund in the finance bill. So another scheme which has been taken very well is the gold monetization scheme to allow the depositors of gold to earn interest in their metal accounts and the jewelers to obtain loan in their metal account, and this is being introduced. And this is going to be another game changer in the jewelry business, because gold is what most of the people want, and this will change the whole scenario. Sovereign gold bond is another scheme as an alternate to purchasing metal gold schemes. This is going to be developed. So on the investment, foreign investment in alternate investment funds will be allowed. Distinction between different types of foreign investments, especially between foreign portfolio investment and foreign direct investment, to be done away with. Replacements with composite caps. Sir, I have already mentioned that the fiscal deficit will be 3.9 of the GDP and revenue deficit will be 2.8% of the GDP. Let me come to the tax proposals. Objectives of stable taxation policy and non-adversarial tax administration, number 1. Number 2, fight against the scourge of black money to be taken forward. Efforts on various fronts to implement GST from next year. These are efforts. The world over, the GST has been acknowledged so far the best tax system or regime, and most of the advanced countries adhere to it.
How much more
Sir, I remember about 10 years ago, I have only one person more, and we have decided that I'll speak for about 15, 18 minutes,
Please.
and the next person will take over whenever he gets this chance. Sir, I was talking to you about, because I was in Australia and met some industrialists there. They wanted to come and do business in India. And I'm talking about 8 to 10 years. He says, we will not come to India till the GST is introduced. And that is the story that we have had a problem with. And I would request that if GST is passed, and it was not our idea, it was not our bill, it was actually espoused by the opposition, then in the Treasury bench. Espoused. Sir, espoused. Sir, the next point,
Okay, no interruption.
next point that I would like to take up is on the black money. And much has been said. So I will say, and I would like to ask the minister also, that we have been talking mostly of the black money outside the country. But there is black money in this country also. And this is a big issue. You have a parallel black money economy in the, आपको सब चीज पे क्या कहते हैं, comment करना है क्या? So what I'm trying to say is, I think there should be some way out And I would like to know from the minister that when we talk about the parallel black money in this country, how are you going to contain it? So I remember that there were 2 amnesties which were given, and that was put down by the Supreme Court, and the House is well aware of it, that the Supreme Court said that it is not right when an honest taxpayer pays and somebody who does not pay gets an amnesty later on. And that affidavit was given in Manmohan Singh ji's government to the Honorable Supreme Court, that in future such amnesties will not be given. But then what is the answer? And this is actually something that we have to think about. I don't know if it is a possibility that for the defense of the country, because we need lot of, for the defense of this and the security of the country, is it a possibility that we have a bond only for the defense and which is tradable, which can be taken up, and we go to the Supreme Court again and said that this is not for anything else but the security and the safety of the country, that we need so much arms, submarines, planes, Rafale, whatnot, MiGs, and if we need that, where are we going to get money? And if we can get it through a bond, which would be a convertible bond along with tradable bond, and if it is only used for the security, I don't know if it is a possibility, but I think it should be considered. So the other issue that is very contentious is that people have been talking about the Saral ITR, the income tax returns. So the minister so far has issued only 3 forms out of the 7 ITRs. And in that also, lots of people have complained that if we give the passport number, if we give the Aadhaar number, then where is the need that you have to say that you visited so many countries, how many days you were there and all that. This is an issue, because if you have a passport, the module is there. By giving the PAN, you will get that information. Why should it all be put again? And the Saral form is getting to be a little complicated. So I think there should be something done about that and done away with a very complicated form. It should be a simple form, and that is what I would request the minister to reply. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much.